Hi guys, I'm glad to introduce to you Mirko Bozovic, our senior game designer. Hi Mirko.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm excellent, thanks for asking.
Great, let me start. You're a senior game designer at Sperasoft. Can you briefly explain what game designers do?
Game designer's job is to make rules for the game, so it doesn't have to do anything with visual design. It's mostly about rules and providing the players with interesting and fun experiences.
What are the different types of game design and what is your favorite part?
There are many types of game design. We have system design, we have level design, economy design, narrative design. There are also some subsections of 3C design. Sound design is a separate thing. So there are quite a few areas of game design which are all intertwined. My favorite area is system design. It's about making all the rules and systems in which separate mechanics interact and provide players with interesting games.
Yeah, that's cool. Can you tell us how did you get into this industry?
I've been playing games all my life, and it was kind of always a dream in a way. I just started making some prototype with my friend, and then we saw ad at one Serbian company, and then I applied, I got the job, and then it gradually became my profession.
What was your initial role in the industry?
My first role was a technical artist, so I was mostly in charge of assembling the scene, animating character for those games in 2D. Then I gradually moved to being a producer. Part of the producer job at that company was actually making sure that game design that we got was good enough to be in the game. So it involved a lot of adjustments there and a lot of changes in game design and improvements. So that's basically how I got to be a game designer in the end.
Can you please tell us, do we need all types of game designers for each game?
No, it depends on the genre of the game. For some games, system design is really important for games like EVE Online, but for other games, for example, Uncharted and those kinds of console games, let's say that narrative design is much more important. So it depends on the type of the game.
And what is a unique part of system game design?
System game design mostly concentrates on the full picture. For example, some features may seem very interesting and may look like a good fit for a specific part of the game, but sometimes you need to take a step back and see how it works in the entire system, and will it break the immersion, will it break the experience, will it break some other parts of the game. So system design is kind of thing that ties everything together and steers the game in the right direction.
But for you it's more about creativity or more about rules and...
It depends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when people think of game design, they usually think about creativity. And from my perspective, it is also really important to follow some rules, and usually you work within some constraints, and you have to be able to adjust to those constraints that your game have. The genre defines how you will think, so those are rules that you have to follow in your creative endeavor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
As each job you have part for creative and for routine.
Yes, and I have a personal feeling that people usually neglect one or another. It's usually the part with rules and that is neglected, but I tend to be a bit, as I get older, I tend to follow the rules and try to accomplish things with design that are set by the entire game and not just by what I feel that would be interesting at the moment.
Why do you need to balance game in general and how you achieve it?
Two most important reasons for balancing games is one, that the experience should feel fair to players, and the other one is the game should feel challenging to players. So if the game is too easy, it's not fun. If it's too hard, then it's not fun. And it's basically, those are two sides of the same coin. So that's why we tend to spend a lot of time balancing our games. There's also important thing about balancing game, which is the genre of the game. Single player games and co-op games have kind of one approach to balancing, and usually I'm balancing those games in a way to have an opinion and a vision of how much time I want players to play the game to achieve a certain goal, whether it's getting a certain item or leveling a character or fighting a boss, or so how much time I want players to spend on those tasks, and that's how I balance the game, and everything goes from there. And when it comes to multiplayer games, multiplayer competitive games, it's a bit different. There you have to balance players against each other. So the important thing there is to give players different options and strategies.
You have an impressive portfolio. What is the project you're most proud of?
Well, there are several projects that I'm relatively proud of. The project that I'm most proud of, but also most sad about, is a game called Pagan: The Absent Gods. It was a game that I really enjoyed making, and in the end, it didn't turn out as good as I was hoping it to be, but it was a game that I've learned a lot on. It's an action RPG, and I was, for the most part of the project, the sole system designer, and then I designed progression system, drop system, crafting, enemy progression, a lot of those really big, complicated systems, which I still really proud about, and I think they worked decent.
And what's the most thing you've got from that unsuccessful experience?
Well, it is exactly that experience. A lot of mistakes that we made, a lot of things that we could have done differently, and yeah, I mean, it was really good experience using the references. I think it's really important in any creative work, and not trying to be creative in areas where you don't need to be.
I know that you worked on very interesting project. It's core game by ABB Studio, which were totally based on the art. How did you transform this art piece to playable game? What was the most challenging part of that work?
Yeah, there were quite a few challenges for me on that game, since it was, as you mentioned, game driven by art, and it was really challenging for me to try and fit into that kind of mindset. It is a pretty different game from what I'm used to playing and what I prefer playing. And also, there's no text in the game, there is nothing like familiar. It's some strange foreign world without like everyday objects that we can relate to. It was really challenging to actually incorporate some gameplay elements into a game that is mostly driven by art.
How has the game industry evolved over past years?
I don't think that a lot changed. Now it's a lot easier for like indie developers to make a game as a solo developer or in a small team and release it on Steam, on other platforms. Audience changed a bit. It kind of matured in a way that now players pay more attention to gameplay, to depth of games and to complexity of games. And also one other thing that I kind of like is that we have a step back from that free-to-play in-game transaction, monetize everything approach that drive a lot of design decisions that were relatively poor in terms of how good game is, and it was just more focused on how to extract money from players. So I think the changes that happened are mostly in like player perception, and there are of course also changes in technology, but that is not something that is so important for me, since I'm not someone who is working hands-on with technology.
Can you tell us why did you decide to join Sperasoft?
I just stumbled across the ad, and I was like, oh, I can apply here. I was looking for a new job. I had one job offer waiting, and then it started. It was pretty smooth experience from the start, and now in hindsight it was a really good decision. I looked at Sperasoft's portfolio, interviews that were really professional, and also it is in my hometown, so I didn't have to make any big adjustments to my life. So yeah, it was a good decision at the time, and it is a very good decision still.
Yes, I agree. Can you tell us about your project you currently work on?
I'm working on a game called Shrapnel, which is a first-person shooter. It is an extraction first-person shooter at the moment, but we're also making a new game mode, which will be a deathmatch. It will be a team deathmatch. So yeah, it should provide a bit more fast-paced gameplay. And the thing that separates Shrapnel from other first-person shooters is that it is a bit less tactical oriented, because we have these kind of abilities which are called Sigma abilities, like special superpowers that make the gameplay a bit faster and a bit more exciting.
Looks like you really like your project.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm learning a lot. It is quite different from games I previously worked on, and I always whenever you have a new kind of genre, you always have that both kind of fear how you will adapt, and also kind of excitement, because you're learning new things and you're learning to appreciate aspects of game design that you weren't involved in previously.
I know that for that type of shooters, balance is critical. Did you do some interesting balance-related decisions in your work here?
Most interesting thing that separates, as I mentioned, Shrapnel from other games is those abilities. So how often can we use that abilities, how strong they are, how they affect gameplay, and also you have in-session progression, which is how it is different the start of the game from the end of the game, how much your character progressed through that session, which lasts 20 or 30 minutes or whatever, and then you have to balance it out as well. So there has to be a feel of progression, but it also can't be too big, because sometimes it might not be good for the game, especially if people in session are not progressing at the same speed. It will lead to unfairness, which we mentioned that is not good for games. So yeah, that is something that's really interesting on this particular project.
Can you tell us about your team structure on that project?
Yeah, we have a pretty big team compared to other design teams I worked on. We have a game design team that has 2 technical designers, 2 system designers, and 2 combat designers or 3C designers. And we have a team lead. Team lead provides us with tasks, with information about project, about deadlines, also enables us to do our job as best as we can. Also, there is a kind of related team to ours, which is a level design team, and there are several level designers.
And what about client? Do you have a lot of communication?
Yes, actually on this project we have a lot of communication with clients, directly with them. We are basically implemented as part of the team. We discuss a lot of things with them directly, and it is kind of empowering. It gives us a lot of freedom and opportunity to make decisions and affect the game.
And it's feeling like a whole team, like one team, yeah?
Yeah. I don't feel like I'm not part of the Shrapnel team.
How can you describe your working style?
I try to think 4 times before I act. For some other departments and other roles, it might not be the best approach, but I think for design it is really important to think through everything and think about all the possible outcomes of the decision. And also there is another part of that is rinse and repeat. So there's a lot of iterations. For me, it's best to think things through, and then have certain starting point in design and then iterate through it.
And what inspired you in your work?
Everything.
Everything.
No, I mean, I really enjoy games. New knowledge, fun in games, and yeah, that's something that's really important for me. And also, like, when Sperasoft is such an environment where you have the opportunity to be recognized when you do something right. So every time you do something well, everyone supports you and you support other people, and it's really, really good to have like that peer support in general, and it is something that is really inspiring.
Yeah, and one question more, how you handle with feedback?
It changed, of course, over the years. I've learned that most of the things are not personal, and that sometimes it is better to adjust your work than to try and force something that you think it is best for the game. Sometimes you might be right, but other times you don't have all the information, you might be wrong. So yeah, now I've learned that feedback is just a normal thing, it's nothing personal, and everyone's idea and wish is to make the game better. And sometimes people will not agree on everything, but if we all have one direction, one vision, and we try to fit into that vision, it's a lot better for the game. And also, I can't remember when I had like really bad feedback last time, so it's not difficult to deal with that kind of feedback.
In your opinion, what is the main skill for aspiring game designer?
I wouldn't say that there is a main skill, but I would say that there are traits that are important, like passion towards games, patience and perseverance. I think those three are really important.
Can you share with them some books or courses?
There's like a lot of really good content, both in video and in written form. There are some YouTubers that are really famous, like Jonas Tyroller and Thomas Brush. And also the book that was really turning point for me when I read it, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. It was The Art of Game Design. I think author's name is Jesse Schell.
Okay. And what advice you would give to beginners in game design?
Play games, make games, do it over and over. And also, I think it is really interesting to remake old classic games, because everyone tries to make their first game to be different and, I don't know, like creative, and to change the perspective of people in some way. But I think it is really beneficial for people to just make a simple platformer for themselves, or simple first-person shooter, depending on the engine and what knowledge they have. But like, there's so many decisions that people can make in those kinds of games that can make game play differently than, let's say, Mario or Hollow Knight or whatever. So for example, if you have 2D platformer, the gameplay will vary a lot depending on how often can you jump, how fast you run, how high you jump. Do you have dash? Can you double jump? Do you have like jump, dash, jump, whatever? I think young game designers and developers should play around with those a lot and understand how it affects gameplay.
I thought it's simple games.
No. I mean, it is, but there's so much things you can do with simple games, and once you mastered all those simple games, then you really have a lot of knowledge to like go forward.
Can you tell us what do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah, I play games and I play guitar. Now mostly. I used to play sports as well a lot. I played football, then I play rugby, and but now I'm too old for it. But now, yeah, I mostly enjoy playing games, like hanging out with friends and like playing guitar, and also going to concerts, festivals, things like that.
What is your favorite video game?
Oh, well, there are quite a lot of them. So, like, in terms of classic games, I always say like Baldur's Gate 2, Diablo 2, and Fallout 2 are some of my favorite classic games. I also like a lot of indie games I like. Darkest Dungeon, Into the Breach, Faster Than Light. And I think this might be different from all those other games, but Rocket League is probably the best game ever. Like, Rocket League is amazing game.
Thank you, and I have like a bonus blitz round for you. Mirko, do you have any signs of professional deformation in your everyday life?
I tend to optimize stuff. I tend to like find the most optimal route and how to do things most optimally, which is something I do in games as well. And also I count things and like separate them into like folders and stuff like, so yeah, there are some.
Yeah. Okay, if you can swap your job for a day, what would it be?
Chef in the restaurant.
Wow, that's interesting. What is your dream project you would like to work on? Maybe it's about genre.
It's a tactical turn-based squad game.
What the first thing came to your mind when you are thinking about Sperasoft?
This is the perfect place for me at the moment.
And the last question, if you can have any superpower, what would it be?
To manipulate time.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It is like best superpower ever.
So thank you, Mirko. It was a wonderful conversation. Do you want to say something to audience?
Play games, have fun, make games, enjoy.
Thank you for watching. Please hit the like button and follow us on social media. See you!